As teenagers in the Silicon Valley, we are considered the top 1% of the 1%. For most of us, money is not an issue. We have access to opportunities that others could only dream of. But that's not true for everyone. We all grow up with different backgrounds, different levels of opportunities, and different realms of success. And yet for all of us, one thing remains constant. Amongst teens in the Silicon Valley, there's a declining mental health issue. So why does something like that happen in an area that's seen to be so prosperous and so wealthy?
My name is Dr. Danessa Mayo. I am a licensed clinical psychologist here in California. In terms of young adults and teens and just people in general, lots of perfectionistic tendencies, wanting to do well, even more so here. And that's just a function of the environment. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur or the next big thing, right? And there's a lot of pressure from all sides. It's either self-imposed because of what people see from their surroundings, or it's like family or the media or whatever is around you.
I first started thinking about college when I was 11 or 12, which is super young.
My family would ask me about college when I was like 12, my extended family, but I never really gave it any thought until sophomore year of high school, and then more in junior year, obviously.
I took a lot of APs my junior year. It was hard because I know there are people taking 5 AP classes, and of course that used to bother me because I felt like I wasn't doing as much as I possibly could. I was taking a double science, and some of the extracurriculars I was balancing at the time was I was like a research intern at UCSF. I was playing on the varsity tennis team. I was competing in my Carnatic music. I was trying to do this really big national competition thingy for piano. It was a lot of pressure. The competitive atmosphere at Los Altos is more subtle, I would say. It's there. You still compare your grades with your friends. You still compare what you're doing like in the summertime and how you're getting ahead. That pressure is still there. It's just more underneath the surface. I don't think it's as in your face as it is at other schools, but it's still there. If you walk down the halls, you can hear people comparing grades because people want to know, because people want to gauge themselves against their peers.
Competition is insane. Sometimes there's a point where I feel like I can't really trust people, and I feel really insecure about telling other people about if I failed something or if I didn't do well on something, because I feel like they're just constantly going to judge me, and that's kind of the environment that you grow up in Silicon Valley. If you don't do something well, then it kind of means that you're a failure, so you don't even want to tell your close friends. I have some close friends that I can tell things to, but some other people I feel like if I tell them that hey, I messed up on something, I messed up on this exam or something like that, which is obviously if you're feeling sad about something, you're gonna want to tell someone, but there's some people that you literally can't tell anything to because then they think less of you. If you fail at something, it kind of lowers your ability to achieve, which kind of sucks, and there's no really room for mistakes here.
I think that affects some people more than others, especially people that are insecure. They kind of want to follow the crowd and what the crowd thinks, and that's of course to be top of the class and get into the best named colleges and all of that. But I think other people are more self-aware and they know what they want, and they realize that it's not as important what grade they get in a class in high school or what college they're going to, as long as they're getting an education that they want. I think for me, I'm somewhere in between. I definitely see some of my peers judging based on what you get on a test or kind of inane things like that, but I think I'm not as affected as some people in that regard. I've lived in 2 households for almost as long as I can remember. I saw a different dynamic between both of those households, which was interesting to see, and I think that shaped me by kind of making my perspective a bit more dynamic. I was able to see things in different ways and do actions in different ways depending on who I was around. And I think I noticed that more in myself than some of my peers. At my dad's house, it was just me, my brother, and my dad, so we kind of did what we wanted. We just kind of had a lot of freedom in what we did. And then at my mom's house, she got remarried, so we had more structure there. I have a little brother who's 10 years younger than me now, and so there's more structure at my mom's house. I think over the years, it's kind of made me really independent. I had to keep all of my stuff with me that I needed between the houses and always be thinking about what I needed to bring with me, and just kind of be able to not rely on a single person.
If you need help, you need to do your best in order to get that help. If you're struggling in a class that's hard, you should never give up. You find tutors, you find study groups, you make it work. Giving up is not really an option because they believe that if you are allowed to give up at this age, then that's something that kind of follows you into your adult life. I think they're right in that sense because I've never been able to give up anything. I have had times where I hated music and I hated tennis, and I was never ever given an option to give up. And I am grateful because it taught me what it means to be persistent. So I guess that's some other family values.
Growing up, like both my families went to mediocre colleges in India. They came here and they did really well. There's kind of this like expectation for me to do really well too. But I can't just do really well now. Like I have to constantly like do more than what they've done. Basically, they feel if I don't succeed like they have, then I'm kind of like a failure. I'm kind of like I need to do more than them because they were given so little and I've been given so much kind of thing. I constantly feel like I have to do really well or I've kind of like failed my parents who've like been brought up with like so little, and it's a lot of pressure constantly because I don't really know if what I'm doing is like enough for them. They're very, very strict. So when it comes to like doing the normal things that teenagers do, they don't really believe in making your own mistakes.
So my parents' Indian background, both of them grew up in India. In India, there's such pressure on school and everything is just about school. It's not really extracurricular activities. It's not about being well-rounded. It's about your performance in school. There's rankings, so you're constantly competing with your peers. I think in Indian families as well, there's a lot of comparison between kids. Parents just seem to do that. It's not just my parents. I know friends' parents who do that, my cousins' families, they do that. I think that raises pressure too because you feel like you're not only letting yourself down, but you're letting your parents down because your parents want to be able to say good things about you. So you feel that pressure that you need to always be performing to the best of your abilities.
There's been lots of research to show that for families where the parents are not always there, there's lots of high-risk behaviors. This is when little challenges come up. That has a lot to do with the resilience factors that they're already having as an individual person beforehand.
When I was a kid, my parents got divorced because my dad was really abusive, and then he kept, coming to our house and waking up my mom and trying to, hurt her, even after they got divorced, so we couldn't really live there. After that, we moved to Palo Alto with my mom's friend. We lived in a really small apartment with their family. And then after that, it became really toxic. We moved somewhere else, and it felt really nice to be by ourselves and have freedom, and then the rent went up, so we had to move again to Toronto City. And after that, we moved back here. And then see my dad whenever he wants to see me, so maybe once every 5 months. I live with my mom. My brother goes to college now, so we're not a pair anymore. It's a lot of pressure on first-generation kids, a lot of other kids too, just to be the best and to try and stand out for colleges when everybody around you is trying to get into the same college and everybody around you has the best tutoring. They get help after school. Their parents help them. I can't do that, and I'm not saying that my mom, I love my mom. She gave me everything she could possibly give me and more, but it's a different experience for first-generation kids because we don't have anything. It's really about independence, and we do be a lot of pressure and even a little bit more.
One thing with me is that I have a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of people look at me and they're like, oh my god, how are you so happy all the time? Well, the way I look at it is kind of if you're not happy with yourself and you don't at least try to be happy, you're living kind of a waste life. If you're just always sad all the time, I think happiness is really a choice. I feel there are definitely factors that can make someone really upset, but I've also gone through the same type of factors. And I don't know, dude. Why would you want to be sad when you can try your best to be happy?
I feel my friends help me a lot with that. We're always goofing off and having fun. When I'm at school, sometimes my home life gets really bad. So when I come here, it's yeah, everything sucks at home, but I'm not at home right now, I'm at school. A lot of people here that I talk to, they're my friends, talk about their day. I want to make sure that they're okay because I've been through a lot of the shit that I've been through. And I'm if I can at least say something to you to where I don't know, you're happy or you need to talk to somebody, then I'm going to do it. So I don't want to come here and just be sad.
My motto is that happiness is a choice and you make that choice for yourself. And I've made the choice to be happy because I think that happiness rubs off to other people. So if you're happy and people around you are kind of sad, then you can also make them happy. And then doesn't that make you happy that you're making people happy? You're making other people happy. Your words and the impact you have on other people can change someone's mood completely. And I don't know, that just makes me really happy, thinking about that, yeah.